Hey, time to shine today, podcast squad. It is Scott Ferguson, and I've got me like kind of like a kindred spirit here, Amy Schmidt. She is the owner, we'll say, of a website called Fearlessly Facing 50. She just authored a book that dropped June 10th, and she's trending like sky high #1 on Amazon right now. It's called Fearlessly Facing Midlife and Beyond. I'm gonna have a really cool giveaway at the end, so make sure you stick around through the whole conversation here that I have with Amy. Amy is a podcaster, which her podcast rocks, by the way. She's an author, public speaker, blogger, and founder of the brand Fearlessly Facing 50. She launched her business and brand 6 months before turning 50. Her mission is to encourage women over 40 to go all in, push their fears aside, and not let this time of life allow them to lose their identity. And most of the people that know me and listen to me know that I'm a Generation Xer. I'm coming up on 50 in about 18 months. And so I'm going to kind of pick her brain just even from the man side of things here. So, but Amy's weekly podcasts have an audience that continues to grow at record speeds. Her interviews arm you with insight and value, leave an imprint on your heart. I'm going to have to steal that for my bio for me. So when it comes up, it inspires you to take action. Amy uses her time when women can begin to feel invisible. She uses her time, personal storytelling, and authentic self-power, empower women to take charge of their life in the middle of a midlife. Okay, hold on a second. Why did that ring? We're going to edit all this out. Sorry about this, Amy. Okay, ready? Okay. Amy's podcast inspires women to step outside their comfort zones, and it's approachable and genuine as you read this book. Her book is phenomenal. She's the real deal. Amy is married to her college sweetheart and has 3 children. Her work has been published in Grown and Flown, Scary Mommy Today, Parents, and many others. We got to just dig into this stuff. Her bio was super long, but I'm just going to kind of stop here and introduce Amy. We're going to kind of dig into Fearlessly Facing 50 and Fearlessly Facing Midlife. Amy, again, I'm sorry about the technical difficulty right there, but please come on.
Hey.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Blue, because it is water, man. I'm just a water girl. Blue, any shade of blue, doesn't even matter. Just blue. Like the shirt you're wearing, it, you know?
Yeah, I have this huge thing off to my right, although it looks like I'm pointing left on here, I think. Maybe this thing off to my right, it's this huge Epsom salt thing called the Atlantic Ocean I'm looking at.
There you go. I have Lake Michigan.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm from Detroit. We talked about that. So,
yes.
Lake Michigan, I go over to Ludington a lot, which is kind of right across the Lake Michigan from you. So let's dig in here, Amy.
Yes, let's do it.
Into the origins and then what you're doing to help level up the ladies of the world.
Yes, absolutely. Well, how can you be 48? It's crazy. Crazy town.
My mom's Filipino. So they don't.
It's in the genes.
There you go.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, I think for me, it's like, you're 18 months before turning 50. What is it about 50 that, people are just like, whoa, 50 life stops? No. 50 life is like just beginning. And I was recently asked on an interview, somebody said, hey, Amy, okay, you got this book, you got the podcast. So what's the next 10 years look like for you? I'm like, 10 years, I'm going to be 60, almost 61. If you would have asked me that at 30, I would have said, okay, man, life is like over. I'll be old. I'll be, crazy. But it's so not true. So I think from one Gen Xer to the other, I mean, this is our time. And like you said, Time to Shine podcast, time to shine. This is your squad. It is our time to shine. There's so much that we have at our fingertip, so much knowledge to share. It's our time.
So Amy, you started this, the Fearlessly Facing 50, 6 months before you turned 50.
Before I turned 50.
What did you do before?
Good question. So at 22, man, I was ready to set the world on fire. I'm a Wisconsin girl, born and bred. Go Pack, go! If anybody out there's listening, from Wisconsin. Oh boy. Well, Aaron Rodgers is coming back, so you never know what's going to happen. So at 22, I moved from Wisconsin to Indianapolis, ready to set the world on fire as a journalist. Broadcast journalism is what I wanted to do. And then there was this guy. Of course, this guy that I met in college, and we ended up getting married and having 3 kids. And so the trajectory of my career really was put on hold because of what my husband was doing. He was on a leadership track, whatever. I took on this role of, I write about it in my book, traveling spouse, which some people say, seriously, Amy? Like, what is that? But really, I embraced it. I loved it. I did what a lot of women did at that point. In 1997, I, quote, retired from what I was doing in corporate America at that time, which was PR and communications. And I raised my kids, and 11 moves, 27 years of marriage later, and 3 big kids, not only taller than me, but big kids. I've got a 23-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 16-year-old.
Wow.
Life was changing. And, it's funny when you mention Gen X, because I think, and as I did research for this book, we were the generation, especially as women, that it was like, you know what? The world's your oyster, Amy. You can do anything. Like, the sky's the limit. But that translated to you had to do everything.
Right.
I think we're that generation of that. But so that was kind of my background story. I moved 11 times. We lived in Germany for 6 years. And I did what a lot of women did. Immersed yourself in your kids, your community, got involved on boards, did all sorts of things.
Right.
I did my story.
As a lot of my listeners know, and my friends know that, I'm a residential real estate agent, and sometimes women will come in and I'm like, oh, what do you do? Well, I'm a housewife. I'm like, no, you're a domestic engineer.
Stop.
Bottom
totally.
line.
Yes.
You're a domestic engineer. So how was the process from becoming kind of a full-time domestic engineer into really helping others really level up, other women level up? Was the transition hard, and was your family supportive of what you were stepping out to do?
Love this. Hey, everything comes with challenges, right? So I'm sitting there, and let's just go to the, I think I was 45, and I lost my mom. I lost my dad. Both parents died within 18 months of each other. Thank you. I was living in Germany at the time. It was just one of those things. Everything's changing once you hit 40, 45. All of those things change. You're kind of struggling with, hey, where is my identity now? I'm kind of losing Amy. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. When my husband said, hey, Mom, go grab the dry cleaning from, the dry cleaners at the end of the day, I was like, dude, like, I'm not your mom, like, I'm Amy. But I think we go through that.
Sure,
I mean, we really do. So the challenges around it were, fear can set in, and you can be like, okay, I'm outdated. I haven't worked for this many years. Like you said, somebody will come in and say, and I hate this mindset, and I want to shift that, because my whole thing is shifting midlife from crisis to opportunity. I want women and men listening out there too, that when you get those, when you're sitting there and thinking, oh, I'm not qualified, you second guess yourself, and you're like, oh, I don't check all the boxes for this job. I can't apply for it. I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I was just a teacher, and now, it's been 15 years. You've got to stop that. And you've got to take this time to self-reflect and look back and say, what have I done? I have done so much. I've multitasked. I've mastered the art of reinvention, as most women do. Look at that, create your own highlight reel and say, hey, I am good, and I can apply for this job. And I always say, I can tell my kids, even in their 20s, what's the worst case scenario? You try and you recalibrate. It's the way it is.
So that's amazing. Like you just said, there's an identity crisis that goes on, especially with women that have raised kids and are starting to move out. Because I'm at that age now where a lot of the moms are old enough. Again, like the kids are off to school and they're starting to get back out in the work world. And I have a few of them that I coach personally.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, when someone comes to you and they're in that situation, about ready to take that leap, that step, that shift, that pivot, what do you do? Is there any secret sauce you don't mind sharing with the squad that helps them find their blind spot and break through?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I do this whole visual when I speak to people, and I talk about, going to a pool. Of course, I go back to the color blue, I go back to water, all this stuff. It's all, all linked. But, I want people to picture themselves as they were a kid and they're at the public pool or the club pool, whatever, and it's hot out. Think of being in Detroit on one of those hot summer days, and you're going to the pool and you're just jumping in, and your mom can't put sunscreen on you fast enough, and you're saying, Mom, watch me, I'm doing it again. And you're doing it and you're fearless. Right. And then you get to this age where you're looking at that high dive and you're thinking, okay, I so want to do this, but for some reason you get stopped at that third rung on the ladder.
Sure.
and you just can't get up to the top. And so what my hope is with this whole thing is that, people need to realize that you've got so much life experience. We've got more technology. Look what we're doing today. I mean, this is amazing.
Right.
You can learn it. The power of Google. How many times do you use it in a day, So I want people just to climb up, not get stopped at the 3rd rung, but go to the 10th rung and run to the end of that diving board. It's going to be ugly.
Sure.
It's going to be uncomfortable. You're probably going to need to go to the chiropractor after. You're going to make this huge splash.
Right.
A cannonball. That's the name of my book. Cannonball with confidence. And you don't care who's watching. Because at this point, you've got so much experience, so much value to add. Don't let self-doubt come in. And that happens so often. We just count ourselves out before we even take that step. My big thing is get up, get dressed, get going. Every day.
Love
the
it.
3 Gs.
Every
Get
single
up,
day.
get dressed, get going.
Yeah. Like my friend Mel Robbins says, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes, love
right?
her. I was on her show a while ago. Yeah. Well,
she is amazing. So why women?
Good question. Because women tend to, we have this whole role shift, I think, and we do have more of a tendency to lose our identity. I really think so.
Absolutely.
Because, you were a mom and you had 3 kids sitting around the table, and all of a sudden now it's you sitting across from your spouse or your husband or your partner or whatever. And you're like, wow, now I got to really start over. I'm needed differently. I think women really have this thing of being needed differently. And when you don't have your kids right there, or your relationship changes, or you lose your parents, or you're caring for your parents because your heroes that used to take care of you, now you're taking care of them.
Right.
Everything changes. And I think it's really a challenging, multifaceted time for women.
100%. That's the answer I was hoping for, because there is more a shift, pivot that women go through.
Totally.
Period. Because there's just, I'm not going to say they're programmed, but they step up. Like my lady, Susan, she's 55 and, she has 4 kids range from 33 down to 28 or 24. And it's like, she has this kind of shift that, she held on to her youngest for a long time,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now now he literally went out on his own, and I can see the identity kind of shifting in her. She's going to be that's who the book's going to as well for her. So
I love it.
I love you, babe, but you got to read this book. Hey, so let's get in our DeLorean with Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Remember Back to the Future? You're Generation X, like me. So,
I can picture Michael J. Fox.
There you go. So, not the Alex P. Keaton one, but the Marty McFly.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
He's going back. You go back, and we meet with the 22-year-old Amy. I don't know if it was quite Schmidt then, but that 22-year-old Amy. Give me some knowledge nugget, you're dropping on her that will help her kind of blast through a learning curve, maybe shorten her learning curve and help her level up?
I love that question. And it's so crazy. I think because I'm so visual, I can picture myself right now, like my 22-year-old self. I would just say, I would go up and give her a huge hug and say, you know what, it's going to be okay. And drop the perfectionism thing, drop the procrastination thing. Don't wait for everything to be perfect, or don't launch before, just do it. Just do it. And don't worry so much about what people think. And I think that's the biggest thing. Don't get stopped in your own way. Get out of your own way. Like Dave Hollis always says, get out of your way and don't overthink it. So much knowledge to give my 22-year-old self.
I know. I love that. I love it. And it's, and get, like my good friend Leah Woodford said, is get your asking gear, ask people and don't be afraid.
Totally.
That's one thing.
Totally.
I mean, I love that you said drop the perfection, drop the procrastination, and just start ugly. Just keep going, because it's going to work out, right? It's work out. So when you're starting to work with a client, or maybe even during the discovery process, when you're starting to bring somebody in, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Oh, man. Wow. That's like a stop me in my tracks question. I rarely
do hear a time to shine.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, people will say, why are you doing what you're doing at 50?
Okay. Well, that's fair enough. I
mean, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's, I have to really think about that question, but why now? And I always say, if not now, when?
Right. And I want to be asked about my fails. I mean, like, how did you really suck at something?
Oh,
You know what I'm
hey,
saying?
that
Ask me, because I'm pretty transparent. I don't put that out there, but if someone asks me, I love
I'm
to tell my
totally
stories.
me
You know
too.
what I'm
Okay, I
saying?
want to hear yours, but can I tell you mine? Can I
No,
tell you
please,
mine?
please.
Because that is a great way of, and I'm doing a presentation later today, actually virtual. But you know, I do this whole podcasting thing, and I learned this podcasting thing soup to nuts, you know, 6 months before I turned 50. I'm not overly tech savvy. I took a lot of trips to the Genius Bar, and they'd be like, "Well, here she comes again."
Oh,
You know,
boy.
all right, I'm exiting stage left. But so I'm going all in on this podcast. I'm sitting in my office. I've got everything set up. You know, I have my mic, take my deep breath. I have my little picture of who I'm focusing on, thinking, okay, I can do this. Like, I'm ready to podcast. And I go for it. And I'm just all in, do it, you know, and then I'm done. And I sit back and I take a deep breath and I go to find the audio file. It's not there.
Oh, hello.
Did
Happened to
not
me
press
too.
record. Did not press record.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm thinking right there, I mean, think about that. You know, everybody that's listening today or watching, think about those times when, you know, hey, it takes confidence to fail, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Totally. You sit back and you go,
Yeah.
okay, am I really going to be able to do this? Like, okay, Amy, seriously, you're going to be a podcaster and you can't even push record. So all that said, and then you're like, screw it. You know, that was a good practice for what's to come next. Now I know what I'm
Sure.
doing, but you know, that's my story.
I
And I
love it.
share that in my podcasting workshops and my other
Yeah.
presentations. And they're like, seriously?
Right.
Or like when Simon Sinek was giving a presentation, I write about it in my book, when all of a sudden he lost his train of thought. I mean, when does that happen? Like you look at him and you think, whoa, he's
No
off.
way. Yeah.
He's off. But he took that opportunity to build trust
Sure.
and say, hey, I'm authentic.
Right.
I make mistakes. I goof
Yeah.
up. So what's yours?
Absolutely.
I want to hear your epic fail.
Oh, mine was I was a major imposter syndrome when I was younger.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a kind of a crazy background, crazy upbringing, and I won't get that deep, but I just had that such an abandonment issue, kind of being an
Yeah.
orphanage, bounced around from families, and I would always kind of fake it till I make it. I was never genuine, and I would take
Right.
huge offense to anybody that questioned me. And then my mentor's like, listen, man, you have to live a duality of life. And actually, the Duality podcast is my most listened to podcast. It has over 10,000 episode, has over 10,000 listens. And basically, the duality that he taught me and what I use and I pass on,
Yeah.
either through mentorship or to clients, is that don't give a shit, excuse my language, about
Yep.
what anybody thinks of you.
Right. Check. Yes.
As long as you don't disrespect them or hurt them in any way, don't care what they say. Along with that, the duality part, while you're doing stuff, serve as many people as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Period. No matter what the situation is, open a freaking door. If it's pushing a grocery cart back into Publix parking lot, or maybe Kroger, if they have them up there by you know. So that was it. So I had a really bad imposter syndrome, and that's what I tell them. I mean, I lied a lot just to get like fake it till you make it. I did, you know, and I am not proud of it, but I put it out there, you know. But back to you, Amy. You can get me on your show anytime. Okay. Actually, I'm going to ask that, folks, one day. So what are three nouns, person, places, or thing that Amy cannot live without?
My family.
Okay.
A swimming pool.
Okay.
And the forest. Like just being out in nature.
See, my third is always chicken wings. I got to ask what I would take to Mars. It's like my lady, my dog, and chicken wings.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Yeah, it wouldn't be chicken wings for me, but good. But yeah,
Hey,
interesting.
I have
Good
one
questions.
lady just like rum chata. It is awesome. But hey, we talk a lot about the dash here at Time to Shine today, and I want to know how you want your dash remembered, or maybe your legacy statement, that dash that runs in between your life date and death date. How do you want Amy's dash to remember? How does your legacy statement or your epitaph read?
Boy, if not now, when? I love that.
Love it.
I love that. And boy, you're really making me think this morning. And I got to say, the other noun would be coffee, because here's my mug. I mean, I'm on my third cup.
I stole Susan's mug today.
Do you?
Dog mom.
I love it. I love it. The other thing I want people to know is that you haven't peaked yet. You know, there's more to come. And I haven't peaked yet. I'm just getting started.
I love it.
And I think that's so
You're
important
living your
for
legacy,
people.
Amy. From what I've
I
vetted
know.
you
I
out, and
know.
then this conversation and what your book has read, you are living your legacy,
Yeah.
and that's what I
Yeah.
want people to do, and to
Yes.
align with people like you levels me up like
Yeah.
crazy, and I can see why you're so popular, why you're getting interviewed by people like Mel Robbins, why you're out there crushing it in life. That's just fantastic. So, what would Amy's definition of a life well be?
Mm.
Like, I'm sorry, a
You,
life well
yes,
lived.
a life well left. You are enough just as you are.
Love it.
Exclamation mark, two exclamation marks, because you are. You're enough just as you are.
You're a miracle,
And
right?
totally. And just to actually savor and revel in the fact of what you've accomplished to this point in your life, no matter your circumstances, no matter your story, just sit back and reflect and create that highlight reel of
Love
what
it.
you've done. Because we
Wow.
don't, we don't. Men, women, we're on to the next thing. Bigger, better, this, that, chasing it. Just sit and revel in that. And it's an amazing thing. I love the highlight reel thing. And I people sit there and they say, wow, I guess I did do that. Oh wow, I remember
Wow.
that. It makes you think back.
It
And we don't
does.
do that enough.
It
Yeah.
does. So as we wind things down here just a little bit, we get into our
Yeah.
leveling up lightning round. You and I could talk 15, 20, 30 minutes on each one of these, but I need a
Yes.
5-second answer, no explanation, just the answer.
Man. All
You
right.
ready? These are easy
Mhm.
though. No stumping.
Okay.
What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Hope I don't have to answer this in 5 seconds. Just to go for it.
Love it.
Go
Love
for
it.
it. Go for it.
Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
I swim every morning.
Swim every morning. Nice.
Mm-hmm,
Love it.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Not what you're reading now, not the book you wrote, not the flavor of the month you're seeing out there, but what's the one book? Like mine's The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews or The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. What's the one book that really resonates with you? And maybe if I was in my doldrums, you're like, here, Scott.
Yes. Dare to Lead, Brené Brown.
Love it. Great book. Great book. What is your most commonly used emoji in your text?
The heart.
The heart. Love it.
Of
Love it.
course.
And you cannot say your age now. What age physically would you be if you could be that age for the rest of your life?
Jeez, this is really hard because I'm living my best life right now.
Okay.
50.
Okay. For you, because of the book you wrote, I'll deal with that. I'll take that one. Okay.
I mean, maybe
Okay.
25, but
I'm
no.
28 to 32. I'm in there. I love
Are
how
you?
I felt because I was a lot more limber. I'm on my
Wow.
yoga mat 3 days a week. I train in saunas. I swim in the ocean. So I stay
Yeah.
together
Fit.
pretty good.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
28, 32, that was like, I was unstoppable.
I'm sticking with 50.
Okay.
I'm sticking
Love
with
it. No, you look fantastic. So what's your favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time and or money to?
The Parkinson's Association, actually, with Michael J. Fox. My dad had Parkinson's, so I'm a big supporter of that.
Good for you. Thank you for doing that. And last question, it's a little bit tougher than the other ones.
Oh,
But
great.
what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I love, because I'm a disco girl, and we've had disco parties every year, 70s.
Okay, very cool. Very cool.
I love the 70s. Bring on the Bee Gees. Bring on
I
Easy
was just
Gibb.
going to say Bee Gees.
Sean Cassidy. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Where is I don't have it near me. I have a ticket from 1977, Sean Cassidy at the Cobo Arena. When I find it, I'm going to snap a picture and text it to you.
Yes, do it. I had a pillowcase with him on it.
Sean Cassidy.
Posters.
Run.
I mean, come on. Yeah, a dude. Yeah, totally.
I love it. So how can we find you, Amy?
Oh, good question. We can find my book on Amazon, which Cannonball, Fearlessly Facing Midlife and Beyond. You can find me on all the socials. Fearlessly Facing 50. There's fearlessly.facing.50 on Instagram. I've got a great following there. A Facebook group called Cannonball, and also a Facebook page called Fearlessly Facing 50. And the best way that I love, because I love to connect with people, conversation, connection, it's what it's all about, community. Amy at fearlesslyfacing50.com, 50 spelled out. Shoot me an email. I would love to connect. It's my thing. I'm a tissue box next to me type of girl. Not a small talk girl. We just get into it. It's everybody's got these cool stories to share. So, and I'm always looking for guests on my podcast too. And I'll be right back at you, Scott, because you're going to be on mine.
Oh, love it. Thank you so much for that. I cannot wait. And so the book, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple books, one for myself that she's going to sign for me. But then I'm going to have her sign one and then send it to my shop here. And then when we drop Amy's episode, we're about 40 days out from editing through to dropping the episode. But when it comes out, go to the Facebook page, like I did before, leave a comment within the post that I set up for Amy. And the first person that leaves a comment will reach out to my producer, Donnie, will reach out, and you will get the book mailed to you, and it will be signed by Miss Amy Schmidt. So, Amy, last thing, leave the Time to Shine Today squad with one last knowledge nugget that you would like them to take with them, take action on, and internalize.
Get up, get dressed, get going. That's
Love
my thing.
it.
No matter what. Hey, we're in the middle of this pandemic.
Sure.
I mean, you know what? There's days when you just want to pull the covers over your head and say, okay, just make it go away. You can't do it. Get up, get dressed, get going. Start your day.
I love it. And squad, you've just basically had your own private masterclass with Amy Schmidt. You know, she tells us that, age 50 is just the beginning. Okay. She was a former domestic engineer that really pivoted, leveled up her life so she can help other females and some males also level up their life as they start that pivot age around in their mid 40s into their 50s, so they can really level up their life. And what I like to kind of call the second half. She tells you to drop perfection, drop the procrastination, and just get your ass going. No matter how ugly it is, just push forward. And she reminded us that it takes confidence to fail. So again, get out there and do it. If not now, when? That's one of her credos, along with get up, get dressed, and get going. Remind yourself that you are enough just as you are. And then biggest thing that I took away, my takeaway, is create and revel in your damn highlight reel. Yes. Look at your highlights, look at your accomplishments. She doesn't say stay there and say watch it 50,000 times and then live in the past. She's saying use it as a motivator. Sometimes there's other people like my Navy SEAL buddy, David Goggles, say reach into that cookie jar. It's the accomplishments that you've had before that is going to help you level up and ride that momentum. So Amy is so humble, yet healthy, wealthy, driven. She's part of our squad now. Amy, thank you so much for coming on Time to Shine Today podcast.
Awesome. I absolutely loved it. Loved it.
We'll talk soon. Bye
now.
All
right, sounds good.